So you've dreamt of copper cookware for a long time. Is it the right cookware for you? So I'll start off by saying this about copper cookware. I grew up with copper cookware. This is actually the first copper pan that I ever got. I was 15 years old. My mom bought me this 2.5 millimeter Mauviel, classic cast iron handle. It's an amazing piece, and I absolutely love, love, love copper. But I get asked all the time, should I buy copper? Do you have copper? I want to buy copper. And so I just want to address what that means when somebody's buying copper. So there are two things to consider when thinking about copper. So number one, does copper perform? So are you getting the best quality cookware in the world that I've come to understand that most people think? You're buying copper, you're getting the best because copper is incredibly conductive and copper is the most expensive cookware that you can buy. So the question around performance is difficult to answer because if we're comparing copper to some other extraordinarily high-end cookware, I have on this channel talked about how much I really enjoy Atlantis from Meyer and Proline. Those are a line of cookware which is extraordinarily high quality. And I have found very, very little difference for myself using Proline and Atlantis compared to the copper cookware that I grew up with. And so if I was looking specifically for value in high-end cookware, to me, copper wouldn't make sense. I wouldn't buy copper because I find I get better value spending my money on a less expensive cookware, Meyer, Atlantis, and Proline, than spending what is now in copper an extraordinary amount of money. So buying copper that is, this had surgical stainless steel, they claim, and a 2.3 millimeter body of copy on a 0.2 millimeter lining of stainless steel. This pan runs anywhere from $500 to $600. You have here, this is by Dubaye, also a French-made copper. This is a 2.2 millimeter copper pan. This has a piece of induction stainless in the bottom of it. So this is an induction-ready copper pan. This pan retails for about $700 Canadian. So in all reality, when it comes to value for quality, you're not getting value when you buy copper. So you're not going to see a massive performance difference for the dollars in buying copper comparatively to another really high-end cookware. Even all-clad copper core, for instance, it's not the same performance, of course. I would really argue that Meyer in a 7-ply Proline is a better performance and more similar to copper than copper core from all-clad. The copper core in all-clad is a very thin amount of copper, but it's a good, thick 5-ply cookware, and it's way less money than buying copper. So, if you're really like, oh, I want the best and I want it to perform better than anything else, you're not getting the performance for dollar for spending copper. So that comes to decision number two. Do you want copper? So if you want to spend the money, by all means, it is tremendous. It works as you would want it to. Nothing really conducts heat the same way. It's fast like aluminum-based cookware in its uptake and its penetration of heat, and it holds heat like cast iron and distributes, and you can cook nice and evenly and get great results all the time by using a medium to medium high heat in thick copper. This is a point I would like to make. You want to buy heavyweight. Mauviel makes like a 1.6 mil. The difference between a Mauviel 1.6 mil and a 2.5 mil is extraordinary. It's a massive difference. I would never recommend to somebody to spend the money on a 1.6 mil copper comparatively to buying a 7-ply Meyer Proline. The quality to dollar just doesn't match. So I'm only talking about heavyweight copper here. So just to make that point. So, buying a heavyweight skillet, the one piece, or buying even more pieces, absolutely. It's phenomenal cookware. You're going to buy some of the best cookware in the world and the performance is awesome. that is a want. If you want to do it, I think it's totally worthwhile. If that is value to you, then 100%. So understanding that what you're buying is more laborious than something else. So when you own a pan like this, as you can see, this is heavily patinaed. And I enjoy my copper patinaed. I'd have no problem when it looks kind of dull and, it's not dirty. It doesn't really have anything cooked on. There's some oil marks on here that actually kind of drives me a bit nuts. And I would probably clean that off with some copper cleaner and get more of a unified sort of patina. But there are those people that want to have their copper looking show shine ready all the time. And that's a lot of work. It's like every time you use it, you are polishing it to a bright shine, and that's really laborious. And I have had customers over the years that have bought copper, loved it, but the way they've tried to keep it maintained has driven them nuts. So if you're okay with copper looking, a little bit browned and patinaed, then copper could be for you. If you're somebody who's really anal and wants your copper to look a certain way, then maybe buy it and hang it and don't use it, because it just really doesn't really work for a lot of people. They can't keep it looking beautiful, brand new looking, and use it. That just doesn't work. So it's just understanding what you're buying yourself into. So the point that I'm making here is that if you're considering copper, copper's amazing. I love it. I've used it all my life. I grew up on it. I know it intimately, and I highly recommend it, but it's not value. You're not getting any value from copper. There are many other cookwares that you can use that are similar in quality. Even, some people would argue that they like using cast iron better, that you can buy for a lot less money, and they get really great results. So copper is not the end all and be all. You're not gonna buy copper and get these amazing results and everything's just beautiful, everything happens perfectly, you look like Jacques Pepin. It doesn't happen that way. Copper is nice for what it is, and like I said, to those that have the money to spend and want to spend the money, then that's worthwhile, but you're not getting value, and it's not gonna make you a better cook over using other high-end cookware that you can buy for less. So thank you very much. Any questions about that, please? I'd love to hear from you below. Take care.